Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Simone here. So today I'm going to be filming a library haul because I've been to the library and I thought I'd done one relatively recently, and then I realised that I actually haven't filmed a library haul since August because the last book haul I did was my own books, not a library one. So I'm going to tell you the books I've got today. I've got 12, so let's get started. So the first book I have is The Lion Game by Ruth Ware, which is a thriller by an author I actually haven't read before. I believe she did the book In a Dark Dark Wood, and what was the other one? Oh, The Woman in Cabin 10, both of which I really want to read. But this one was at the library and I thought I'll give it a go. This basically follows four friends who, when they were younger, growing up in this boarding school in this place, they used to play something called The Lion Game, where they used to try and convince people of really outrageous things. And now, however many years later, they're all kind of caught up in something because something is found on the beach in the place where they used to live. So basically this is like a reunion for them because they haven't spoken to each other for years and they kind of have to get their story straight, and but it also says someone isn't telling the truth. So this sounds really interesting. Also, The Sun have said this is Agatha Christie meets The Girl on the Train. Now, I love The Girl on the Train. I have read some Agatha Christie, but I always love the TV adaptations I've seen. I want to read more of her books. But I'm just really excited about this book. I love thrillers, and it's the kind of time of year where thrillers are just really cosy reads and sort of mysteries, and yeah, I can't wait for this one. The next book I have is Rogues, which is a kind of anthology type thing, edited by George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozois. I don't know. But this has lots of different authors in it, basically writing short stories about rogues. This also, I believe, has a Game of Thrones story in it by George R.R. Martin. It also has stories by Gillian Flynn, Patrick Rothfuss, Neil Gaiman, Scott Lynch, Joe Abercrombie, all different people that I have read before. But there are also a lot of new authors for me on here, people that I have maybe heard of, some of them I haven't heard of. For example, Garth Nix I've heard of, but I haven't ever read any of his stuff, so this looks really interesting. I know that there's also one called Dangerous Women, I believe, and I also think there might be a new one, something to do with a sword. I can't quite remember, but if I like this one then I will definitely have to check those two out. It's quite a big book. I believe this is about 800 pages long. Let's have a look. Yeah, 800 pages. But I feel like because it's short stories, sometimes it's easy to read and it won't take me quite as long. And yeah, I'm really excited for this one. The next book I'm really excited about, and this is According to Yes by Dawn French. Now, I've read Dawn French's other two books and also her autobiography, and I've loved everything she's written, and this is the only one I haven't read, and so I was kind of like, well, I have to read it then. This follows the family of the Wilder Bingham family, who live in Manhattan's Upper East Side, and they kind of have this sort of rigid family structure and they all follow the same rules and they all kind of know the rules without having to be told. Anyway, one day into that family bounces Rosie Kitto, who is an eccentric 38-year-old primary school teacher from England who basically hasn't really read the rule book. And basically what it says on here, which I love, it says, after a lifetime of saying no, what happens when everyone starts saying yes? And I don't know if this is going to have anything to do with there was a Jim Carrey film called The Yes Man, I believe, which was one of my favourite films, and it kind of was about a man who had to say yes to everything. And I feel like it's all about positivity and sort of embracing opportunities and all things like that. So I'm very excited to read this book. I actually really can't wait, and yeah, it's definitely one that I plan on reading very soon. Then I have one that I have literally no idea whether I'm going to like it or not. So basically, for Christmas last year, my sister bought me this book called 1001 Books That it's over there, I'm looking at it. Called 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die, and it kind of has a list of all these different books from like the 1800s and before to now. And so I was looking at the section that was marked like 2000s and above, and this book was mentioned. Now this is called Celestial Harmonies by Peter Esterhazy. Esterhazy? I have no idea. It says it's an epic historical novel of the rise and fall of a great family. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about this. It basically follows a family who... This is a novel, basically a family saga, a historical novel about a family going through the... I'm not sure what time actually this was set in. It's kind of throughout the 1900s and it's huge. Like, I don't actually know how big this is. How big are you, please? 850 pages, and I believe that this was originally written in Hungarian and it's been translated by Judith Solossi. Again, I don't know if I'm going to love this or hate this, but it sounded really interesting to me, and I really wanted to try something really different because I do tend to read a lot of YA books or thrillers, and so to read something like this is just massively out of my comfort zone, but something that I really wanted to get to, so hopefully I will read this really soon. Next up we actually have the book I'm currently reading, and this is Life as We Knew It by Susan Pfeffer. Now this book does not have a synopsis on the back, which, I mean, I've looked throughout the book and I can't find a synopsis. So I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that this is something to do with, I mean, it's to do with the end of the world and what happens if, like when that happens and kind of what happens. I think it's got something to do with a meteor hitting the earth. Again, I have no idea. I really like the first line of this book though. So you open it up and you get like a little thing that says spring with a little picture of the moon. And then the first chapter just says, Lisa is pregnant. And that's that. So I like how like succinct it is and how it just really just gets to the point. Like I said, I don't know too much about this. I've literally read 10 pages, so I really couldn't tell you too much more about it. But again, I was recommended this. I can't remember what, I think I saw it on someone's YouTube channel and thought I would give it a go, so I'm going to do that. Then I have The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. So I believe this follows a 17-year-old girl named Hadley Sullivan who is on a flight to London, or is about to get on a flight to London, and in the airport she meets this boy named Oliver and they end up being seated really close to each other. However, then they get to the other side and they kind of lose track of each other, they don't even know each other's names, and so I guess it's like a romance book about that. Now for some reason I seem to keep doing this, because I order my reservations on the internet, I don't seem to be able to look at kind of what like print this is in. So this is in large print, so I always feel bad about getting large print books because I feel like people who actually need them, I'm taking it away from them by reading it. So I try to read them as soon as possible and get them back to the library. And to be honest, it sounds really weird, but the last large print one I had, I hated and did not finish. So hopefully that's not the case with this one. Then I have a YA thriller murder mystery type thing, and this is I Hunt Killers by Barry Liger. So this follows a young boy whose father is a notorious serial killer and is in prison, and basically he has obviously brought up his son, and so because he's behind prison bars, everybody knows about him, everybody knows who he is, and then the killings start again, and so he is the prime suspect in these murders because the police are thinking, is it nature or nurture, or, you know, what is it, has he done it? And so that's kind of what this story is about. I really like the sound of this. I am really interested in the whole nature versus nurture thing. I find it really interesting to kind of decide whether or not, like, are murderers like inherently bad, or did it come from their childhood, did it come from something that happened to them, like what happened. So I'm always really interested by this kind of conversation, so I feel like this book will be very interesting. And I really like the little tagline that just says, my biggest fear is that they think I'm like my father, my second fear is that I am. And it's that whole like genetics thing, and yeah, I love thrillers anyway, so this just sounds like one that I will really enjoy. Then you'll all know, if you have watched my videos before, but I quite like Danielle Steele's writing. I've read quite a few of her books and I've talked about them on this channel before. So I have Sisters by Danielle Steele. When I ordered this from the library, I actually thought it was a really recent one, but it turns out this is from 2007, which in my head is really recent. However, that's 10 years ago. which kind of freaks me out. I'm actually going to read the synopsis to this because her books are really complicated and I don't think I could try and explain it without having that. So this just says, 21-year-old Candy, it's the only name she needs, is blazing her way through Paris, New York and Tokyo as fashion's latest international supermodel. Her sister Tammy, 29, has a job producing the most successful hit show on TV and a home she loves in LA's Hollywood Hills. In New York, oldest sister Sabrina, 34, is an ambitious young lawyer, while Annie, at 26, is an American artist in Florence living for her art. On one 4th of July weekend, as they do every year, the four sisters come home to Connecticut for their family's annual gathering, but before the holiday is over, tragedy strikes and their world is utterly changed. So there is more to the synopsis, but I don't really think I need to go into too much more. I quite like going into Danielle Steel books not fully knowing exactly what's going to happen because she has such a diverse type book. She writes about so many different topics and so many different things that I feel like this is... I don't want to know what this is any more than that. So I feel like this kind of reminds me a little bit of... what was the book I read quite recently? Daddy's Girls by... Tasmina Perry, I think it was. I read that recently. I'll try and link the wrap up where I talked about that book. I think it might have been last month actually. And it was about four sisters all accused, or that one of them had murdered their father. And I feel like this has that sort of similar vibe to it. So I don't know, obviously it could be nothing like that, but like I said, I like Danielle Steel's writing and so I'm excited for this one anyway. The next one I have is a very well known book in the booktube community, and this is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I think this is about aliens. Kind of don't want to know too much else about it. I feel like this is like dystopian kind of alien sort of thing. The fifth wave I think is like a wave of... I don't know what the wave is, but it's the fifth one. Again, I've heard really good things about the first book. I've also heard quite negative things about the second book in the series. I think it's called The Infinite Sea. So I'm not sure how I feel about reading that one, but I wanted to read this one, so at least I know how I feel about Rick Yancey's writing because I've not read anything at all. So yeah, I've heard lots about it, just want to kind of get to it really. And yeah, this was in my library, so I thought I would pick it up. The next book I have is also, I think it's kind of known as a classic. I'm not entirely sure because I hadn't really heard too much about it before I got it out. But this is The Trial by Franz Kafka, and it has a foreword in this by Zadie Smith. Now I own a couple of Zadie Smith's books, I haven't read them yet, but I'm interested to find out how I feel about this. This is one of the Modern Voices copies. I feel like this is supposed to be quite a deep book. Now, I've just read the synopsis and it sounds really interesting. I had no idea what this is about when I got it out of the library. I had heard other people talk about Franz Kafka's writing and thought I wanted to try them out. So basically, as far as I'm aware, this follows a man who is accused of a crime. He is arrested. He is not told what crime he's supposed to have committed. He's not told the date of his trial, but he's allowed to go on as normal, like live his life as normal, but with certain conditions that he has to kind of turn up to some certain places at certain times. Now, this supposedly is kind of a look at the kind of natural paranoia of mankind, I guess, and I don't know too much else about this. Apparently this is great though. I've heard really good things. Like I said, I've heard good things about Zadie Smith too, so I feel like the two of them together is kind of a bonus, and yeah, I feel like this shouldn't take me too long because it is only 200 pages, so who knows, maybe I will love this and Franz Kafka will be one of my new favourite authors, but I will certainly let you know when I've read it. Next up is a book that I'm really not sure about, and I've mentioned this author before, and not in a particularly positive light. However, it is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. Now, I have heard very negative things about Orson Scott Card as a person. He's made a lot of negative comments about gay people and just other things in general that I just don't like and I find a bit disgusting. So I really didn't want to support his work because I just don't really want to support somebody who... I have that problem with not being able to separate the art from the artist. I feel like I don't want to support him by paying money for his books when he's not a nice person. So getting it from the library I figured was a little bit, I don't know if that still supports him in any way. I'm not quite sure of how it works really, but I'm hoping that it supports him in less of a way anyway. Anyway, my boyfriend read, what was the book? Earth Unaware by Orson Scott Card. I want to say he finished it relatively recently, and he thought it was okay, he didn't love it. I have it on my shelf and I will probably read it at some point, but I think Ender's Game is his most well-known work and most kind of talked about work. So this is about, I think, a man named Ender Wiggin who is in this thing called a battle school, where he's basically got to pass this training program because aliens are coming to Earth and he has to try and fight them, I guess. I'm not entirely sure too much about this. I know it's to do with space and things. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm going to read it because I did get it out of the library, like I said, but I mean, if I absolutely love this, then I might read more of his books. However, I refuse to actually buy them, so I will get them from the library potentially if I really like them that much, but I will not buy his books because, like I said, I don't want to support him or pay money to his writing because I don't like him as a person. I mean, I don't know him, but from what I've heard. So yes, I will again let you know progress on this one. And the final book I have is the one I'm probably the most excited about that I've got in this haul this time, and that is Landline by Rainbow Rowell. Now, I don't have to tell you all, if you've seen more of my videos, and I'll link a few below if I can remember which ones they are, but I adore Rainbow Rowell's writing. I've read Fangirl, I've read Carry On, I've read Eleanor and Park, and I've loved all of them. I just adored them. And I also own Attachments, which I'm hoping to read soon, which I talked about in my summer book haul, which I'll link below. But this is another one of hers, adult ones, same as Attachments, that I haven't read and I really want to, so I picked it up at the library. So this is about a woman named Georgie McCall whose marriage is in trouble. Her husband Neil and her are having some issues, and I think it's the day before they're supposed to go and visit her husband's family. I think it's about Christmas time. Yeah, they're supposed to go to his family in Omaha for Christmas, and the day before she tells him that she can't go, that something's come up on the show that she works for and that she just can't go. But what she doesn't expect is for him to take the children and go without her. And obviously that's what happens, and so she then finds a way of contact, like getting in touch with him, that's kind of like time travel but not, and I'm assuming it involves the telephone, and it's about whether or not they can make it work. And on the front it says, if you got a second chance at love, would you make the same call? Which sounds really lovely. Again, this is an adult novel. It's by Rainbow Rowell. I'd read it no matter what the synopsis was, to be honest with you. And I can't wait for this. I'm really, really excited. So, oh my lord, I seem to have all hardback books and they're so heavy. So this is my library haul, I guess you could say, of November, I think we're in. So this is my library haul of this month, and I hope that you like these books. Let me know in the comments below which books of these you think I should get to first, which ones you think I shouldn't bother with, and which ones you think I should have on my list like right now. And I hope that you're having a wonderful week, and I shall speak to you in my next video. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I shall see you next time. Bye guys! Ugh.